what is machine learning is all about, isn't it? Machine learning is basically, I have told you that uh, you are giving the data and the output to the computer, and it will provide you the program, isn't it? So that is machine learning. Whereas in the case of traditional programming, you give data and program to the computer, and it will provide you the output. Traditional programming is your C, C++, or Java programming, etc. Isn't it? Uh, we have also studied about some of the application of the machine learning, where we have used machine learning, supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Uh, Supervised is that when the supervised learning is when the training data includes the desired output. Unsupervised when the training data does not include desired output. And semi-supervised is that few desired outputs are present within the training data. And reinforcement learning is when you provide rewards, when it will do some sequence of action, isn't it? So this is we have done in the previous class, isn't it? We have done some of the examples of supervised, unsupervised learning. I will to reiterate it again, I will provide you these examples. Supervised learning example is that decision tree tools that create some rules. For example, prediction of future case, isn't it? In some future cases, use the rule to predict the output for future inputs, isn't it? Knowledge extraction, the rule is easy to understand. Compression, the rule is simpler than data is explained. Outlier detection, exceptions that are not covered by the rule. For example, fraud. Basically, supervised learning is that uh, I have given you an example that suppose you teach your child that this is an apple, isn't it? You show him apple again and again, and you are saying that this is an apple, isn't it, to him? So he got a program that this is an apple. Okay, fine, this is an apple. uh, when you show him, then you show him the orange, then it will able to classify between them that what is an apple, what is an orange, or at least he can say no, this is then not an apple, isn't it? So supervised learning uses that you predict the future outputs, isn't it? What could be the output is you could extract the knowledge, so that you are designing the rules for this. You can show the size, shape, color, isn't it, of an apple, so that child should Okay, is it fine now? Is everything fine now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were studying about supervised learning, isn't it? So in the case of supervised learning, we have to design the rules in which we have to make it in a way that we can extract the knowledge from that, isn't it? The rule is as simple as possible, and it will also extract the outliers. Outliers are those things which are not covered by the rule. For example, you are showing the um, fruits to a children, isn't it? You are showing apple, you are showing orange, isn't it? Then in between you show a ball, isn't it? A ball is considered to be an outlier because you are showing, you are training your system, you are training your child in a way that you are showing him the fruits, isn't it? So that will, if you show him the ball, then that will become an outlier. Similarly, in the case of unsupervised learning is basically when you don't provide the outputs. You show your child that this is an apple, but you don't tell him that an apple, isn't it? You just show him that apple, orange, apple, multiple kind of apples, but you don't show him that, you don't tell him. So child will automatically learn about that. So that learning of that rule is basically unsupervised learning, isn't it? So one of the best example about the unsupervised learning is clustering, in which the system would learn with the grouping similar instances. You show multiple kind of apples, you show multiple kind of oranges, isn't it? So child will automatically segregate apple, these are of some kind, oranges, they are of similar types, balls, they are of similar type, isn't it? So when a child able to do that, then that is clustering. Clustering means you are forming some form of cluster, isn't it? Other application of unsupervised learning is customer segmentation in customer resource management, image compression, that is color quantization, bioinformatics, learning motives. Let us take the example of image compression, isn't it? You have an image in which there are multiple colors present, isn't it? Say a very simple image in which the background is of say sky, isn't it? So sky is of similar color. So when you are doing the compression, the color of sky in whole the image is approximately similar, same. So if you are learning an algorithm, it will automatically tell that, okay, this is some color, these are of same pixels, that is, if they are same pixel, you are compressed in some way. So that algorithm is known as unsupervised learning, and you are doing with image compression. There are multiple examples with unsupervised learning. Then there is reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning, I have told you that you give credit to something, isn't it? For example, you are showing your children that this is an apple, isn't it? When he says, oh, when he correctly classify an apple, you give him toffee. But when he classify an apple, when classify an orange to an apple, when you show an orange, it says it's an apple, then you maybe slap him, isn't it? So that is reinforcement learning. For correct action, you reward him, isn't it? For wrong action, you can slap him, you can punish him, isn't it? So in the case of reinforcement learning, there is policies, what action should an agent take in a particular solution, and the utility estimation, how good a state is, isn't it? In the case of reinforcement learning, no supervised output but delayed reward, isn't it? There is no supervision present, but reward is always present. That is reinforcement learning, isn't it? For example, in the case of credit assignment problem, what was responsible for the outcome? You have provided someone credit with high score. You said that it is a high score of credit. You provide him loan, but he is not able to provide back now, isn't it? Then who was responsible for that outcome? That is come under reinforcement learning. Uh, Other example of reinforcement learning is about game playing, robot in a maze, multiple agent, partial observability. Game playing example I have given to you, that you are showing an apple, you are giving a toffee, and if it's you are showing an orange and seeing an apple, you are slapping him. So that is a game playing, isn't it? So if you train your program in such a way, then this is a reinforcement learning. These are some of the resources or data sets you can use, quite important in your machine learning repository, UCI repository, KDD archive, StatLib, Devel. These are the data set you can use when you program your machine learning codes. When you program it, you will definitely be these resources will definitely be helpful, because where you get the data set, isn't it? You must need that. These are some of the high quality journals in which machine learning algorithms are right now published. You may get many of these sources on online, and you can have your final year project out of these. These are very high quality conferences. So this is about the summary of machine learning techniques, but okay, this is the some part left with the first lecture. So I am not having this now. I am having the second part, that is the learning problem. Designing a learning system. Yes. So the next topic we are going to start with is how to design a learning system. We are going to design, say we are thinking of designing some system, say how to play a game, isn't it? So that is how to design a learning system, isn't it? Suppose you are playing some game. In this example, say I am having a game, checkers playing, isn't it? Checkers is similar to the your chess, isn't it? In which the system, there is a board, and on the board you have to move certain moves, so that when that game is won, uh, when that game is won, then you are going to train your system in such a way that how which moves are taken so that you won that game, isn't it? Suppose you know that an horse can move 2.5 moves, isn't it? Queen can move anywhere on the board, from left to right, right to left, up to bottom, till there is no obstacle, isn't it? Of the same kind, and if the other one found in between, then it can cross that pug, isn't it? Similarly, there is a checker game. We are having the example of this. So your learning problem should be well posed, isn't it? You must define a task. We are saying this is a task T. You must define a performance measure P while designing the algorithm which improves on T by measured by P with an experience E. It means that suppose you are playing the checkers game, isn't it? So in the checkers game, suppose the task is that you have to learn the checker game, isn't it? Measured by P, that suppose you have moved 100 moves, isn't it? Out of the 100 moves, you have made the say 60 moves wrong, isn't it? Then definitely you will lose it. So this is your experience, that you will learn, your algorithm will learn day by day that what would be the my past experience, so that my task would be improved with the performance measure P, isn't it? So it will automatically remember those moves. Similarly, next time would it play the same algorithm would learn again. Suppose next time out of those 100 moves, it will make the 40 mistakes, isn't it? Still it lose. Then after this it will make 20 mistakes. Then after this it will make 10 mistakes. Then after this it will make 5 mistakes. So on with the past experience and its performance measure, it keep on improving its task, isn't it? So it keep on winning its chance. It will keep on increasing its winning chances, isn't it? So the problem should be well posed. It should not be in a way that the problem is there, but there is no kind of solution. In the case of checker, the task is that play checkers. The performance measure is that the percentage of games won against opponent. If you move in such a way, then how many times you have won that game, what percentage of time you have won that game, and your experience is that playing practice against itself. You are playing against yourself, and you are thinking how to win against it. Similarly, another well-posed learning problem is the handwritten digit classification. The multiple persons can write the digit in a different way. For example, the digit is from 0 to 9. You write digit 1 in different way, and I write digit 1 in little bit different way. Similarly, I write 9 in different way, you write 9 in little bit different way, or maybe some calligraphic way. But still the system reads both the 9 same, isn't it? So that is your task. So task is the well-defined learning problem is that uh, task is that map image to 0 to 9. Then performance measure is the percent of correctly classified images. If I have given you multiple 0 to 9 and for 70%, 60%, how many times your algorithm has correctly classified it? That is the performance measure. And your experience is that digit from the US Postal Office. So I have taken this slide from the US site. So they have given the US Postal Office. The book is Tom Michel, so they have also given this US Postal Office. So you can take the digits from anywhere, isn't it? So this is your digit classification problem. So it is a well-defined learning problem. Another thing is that your learning problem would be well-defined and it should be interesting too, isn't it? Um, for example, some of the well-defined tasks may be that learn to sort a given set of numbers, isn't it? If your task is learn to sort a given set of numbers, so I don't think so that you require any machine learning algorithm for this. You know a numerous of algorithms for this, isn't it? Bubble sort, insertion sort, number of algorithms are there that can sort the given numbers, isn't it? So that is not an interesting problem at all, isn't it? We can solve this exactly in short time without experience, just knowing the definition of sorted list, isn't it? So the problem should also be interested in the case of machine learning. The second thing is that second example is which is also not very interesting is that learn the speed of a ball falling from the leaning tower of Pisa, isn't it? Uh, suppose there is a ball falling from the tower of Pisa, and then we know that we can do it sufficiently with the physical model, isn't it? We need a physical model, then we can tell the speed of ball. So all this is not required at all, isn't it? So this is not at all very interesting problem. So machine learning for tasks which cannot efficiently be modeled exactly, but experience is available. So my main to point is that here is that you define the problem which is well posed, and also it should be an interesting one, isn't it? Another example that machine learning problem should not be ill-posed. Some problems are ill-posed, like make something reasonable with my email, isn't it? The task is that you say someone to that make something reasonable with my email. Say you have given no objective. The task may be that simply delete an email, isn't it? So that is an ill-posed learning problem. Similarly, learning to draw a curve through points, isn't it? You will not be happy with every curve, definitely, isn't it? So that could be an ill-posed learning problem. Your task should be in such a way that draw a curve, in which you are happy and contented. For example, draw a curve of the shape like a happy face, isn't it? Then definitely that will become a machine learning problem, isn't it? So problem should not be ill-posed. The next task, ill-posed learning problem is that learning an arbitrary binary series. We cannot learn random series. There could be many ill-posed learning problems. Your problem could be ill-posed learning problem, but our task should be that we will make it interesting, we will make it properly well-posed, isn't it? And our task should not be ill-posed. Now, when to design a learning system, what are the things which need you to consider? First is that you choose the training experience. Second is choose the target function, choose a representation, choose a parameter fitting algorithm, then evaluate the system with the try to win scholarship algorithm type thing. While designing a learning system, you need to think what could be the training experience, what could be the target function, choose a representation, parameter fitting algorithm, and then evaluate the entire system. I will give you the example for all this. Suppose you are, suppose I'm taking the same example. Suppose you want to make a system in which a player can play chess, isn't it? Or a system in which a human player can play against the system, isn't it? Or a program, isn't it? So if you are going to make such a machine learning program, then what you will do? You will choose the training experience, isn't it? What moves you have making so that you have won that chess game. Out of those 100 moves, which move you have taken so that you can win the game, isn't it? That is training experience. Choose the target function. Choose the target function is that your target should be to win the game, isn't it? So you have to create a algorithm or a function in which that out of the say you make a database of 10,000 moves, isn't it? And for a particular point in the on the board, say you out of those 100, there are 100 possibilities can be there, isn't it? So you can think in a way that machine learning algorithm can think in a way that what could be the next of the move of this human being so that I can win the game within how many moves, isn't it? So that is your target function. Choosing a representation is basically that in this example my representation is that what are the bugs available and what are the position of the bugs on my board, isn't it? So that is a representation. I am picking up, say I am choosing a representation in my example, say that what are the position of bugs on the board, isn't it? So that is my representation. Choosing a parameter fitting algorithm at particular point on the board, when you are playing a game at particular point on the board, what could be the best fit algorithm so that I can make my next move in a way so that I can win the game, isn't it? So those parameters you need to consider. What are those parameter fitting algorithm you have to choose while designing a learning system. Then making the next move, you have to evaluate the entire system. You will think what it will do next. If it will do my 7th move next, then I will do my 28th move next. Isn't it? If it will do 8th move, I will do 29th move. Isn't it? Similar in the way the system will think that I can win the game if it will move this. If it will move this way, then I will move this way, so that I can learn, I can win the game within say 10 moves or within the minimum moves, say 10, 20, isn't it? So this is the way how you will design your machine learning system, isn't it? So I'm explaining all the things in detail. First is that your target is to design the learning system. First is you choose the training experience. The first one is different learning paradigms. You will choose that you will make your system supervised learning, unsupervised learning, or reinforcement learning. What learning paradigm you are going to have it, isn't it? Next is different availability of data. What kind of data available to you? You have offline data, you have online data. What example you are going to take, isn't it? So that is your training experience. Say in this example of my game, isn't it? I am making a game online. So I may have multiple users at the same time, isn't it? Or say I am designing a machine learning system in which of the same game example. So in the same case, I am making an offline system. So that offline system is you are having the machine is playing against you, isn't it? So you have offline example. So while designing a system, when you choose the training experience, you have to consider paradigm, learning paradigms, and availability of data. The next thing of the designing a learning system is choose the target function, isn't it? So target function, I have told you that what could be your output. So in the case of your chess game, isn't it? Your target function is that to win it, isn't it? So your target function is that make it as easy as possible. You should not make it it's very complex, because suppose you have designing the chess game machine learning algorithm. So you should not make it in a way that it will make it complicated. It will keep on thinking that I have 100 moves next, which move I should give it to, so that it can be that person can lose the game or I can win the game, isn't it? So it keep on not on thinking about that. In the target function, you should integrate all prior information. Whatever the previously present to you, you should integrate with that. You have lost your game with those 100 moves, isn't it? Out of those 100 moves, you have made 60 wrong moves, isn't it? So that prior information should also be integrated in the target function. While choosing the target function, you should also learn only the aspect which you have to learn, isn't it? You should not learn which are not of your aspect, isn't it? Because you keep on wasting your time otherwise. While choosing the target function, you should think that what you need to learn. That's it. It should not learn. So, suppose uh, that is also happen in human beings. Suppose you are telling a person that this is an apple, this is an orange, and that children may be watching a game on the say mobile, isn't it? Or playing a game on the mobile, then in that case it is not able to learn the things very efficiently. So your target should be very concise, isn't it? So you have to learn whatever you want to learn. That's it. While designing a learning system, you should choose a representation of the target function. While choosing the representation of target function, first thing is that representation of input data, how you will present your input data. You have to integrate all relevant features so that it will become easy, and you have to add some necessary feature but not more than necessary, isn't it? If you put more than necessary feature, then you will definitely going to make it a curse of dimensionality, isn't it? um, Suppose you are designing your chess game, machine learning algorithm, isn't it? And you are including your board, isn't it? Whatever on the boards, that is more than enough. If you, while training the system, if you also think that uh, previously the horse is present there, isn't it? And he has removed my horse, isn't it? By playing his move, isn't it? So you are unnecessarily increasing the dimensionality of that system. So you have to choose a representation very efficiently while choosing the representation of the target function. Then next, while representation of the target function, you also think different type of functions, the classification algorithm or regression or density estimation, novelty detection and visualization. This course is all about these classification, what kind of functions can be possible, what kind of data, how the data can be possible. So we are going to study all these in details, very detail. What are the classification functions? You might have learned, heard some buzzwords like SVM classifier, isn't it? Binary classifiers. You might have learned some terms like uh, support vector regression, isn't it? So all these algorithms we are going to learn in detail, but while designing the learning system, you choose the representation function in which you have to choose what function you are going to take so that your output should be optimal. Second thing, you have to choose which model you are taking as per your need. The model could be symbolic models like logical rules, decision tree, prolog program, etc. Or there is sub-symbolic programs like neural network, statistical estimator, or there may be parameterized models, or there may be lazy models. This means that suppose you are designing a system, isn't it? So you are choosing the target function. For example, I am designing a machine learning algorithm in which suppose I will enter the X-ray of the person, and it will tell that whether you have the COVID-19 or not, isn't it? So you are putting up the X-ray of the person and it will telling up the that thing. So in that case you have to design the various logical rules, isn't it? What what are those points where the COVID-19 affected the human lungs most, isn't it? You are searching about that, isn't it? You are making the tree decision out of that. So that is the different model, isn't it? That you can choose. That is representation of the function. The next thing, while designing the learning system, you estimate the parameters. The parameters can be estimated using, you can optimize it with some error or objective of the given data. Some example of the error and objective of given data is linear quadratic optimization, gradient descent, greedy algorithm heuristic, discrete optimization methods, statistical method, etc. It means that while designing a learning system, you need to provide some error function or error objective to the data. For example, that um, Suppose I take an example that suppose you are learning a curve, isn't it? You are making a curve, and from the curve, it will make some say 20% move, isn't it? Not showing the board here. I don't know if I can show the board. If it can show the board, I think it is showing the screen only. My mean is that no. Okay, no issue. Suppose you are designing a system. Let us take another system. Say you are designing the chess game. Again, I will take the same one, isn't it? Your chess game machine learning algorithm. So you will think that okay, this is the error it is showing. What kind of error that with this move, isn't it? You are getting away from your output. You are getting away from output, so you will take it again back to the same point, isn't it? That showing that your objective function or your objective error, isn't it? So while designing a system, you must take what could be your error, isn't it? I'm not able to show you here on the board. uh, if this is the way I can show here. Is this screen visible to you? No, I don't think so that this is visible to you. This is again the same visible here. Okay. Okay, leave it. We will study all these algorithm in detail. Then I will let you know again, isn't it? For the time being, you can think that these are the algorithms that you have to some point that you have to take this algorithm. You have to choose the error function, isn't it? While estimating the parameter, you can also mimic biological learning algorithms like Hebbian learning and imitation learning. If the time permits, then we will study about these. But you remember that if the time does not permit, still you need to remember this. I will give you this PPT. Then definitely you have to do this learning, isn't it? The next point in the learning system is the evaluation. While evaluating the system, you will check that whether the system behave well in practice, generalization of the data not used for training, and make sure the underlying regularity and not only the given data is learned, isn't it? So while designing a system, you will also make sure that whether the given data is learned properly or not, isn't it? Uh, so we are going to stop here. Just take the attendance. This is over from my side, and if you have any doubts, you can ask. Yes, Parth, you want to say something? Anybody have some doubt? They can ask. Okay, I will stop the class here, isn't it? Uh, one chat. Sir, please share photocopy of the Tom, Michelle, and Bishop. Okay, dear, I will do it. Anything else? Okay, I'm closing this session. Fine. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.